students. This is homework help for International Math 1, Module 1.2. And we are working on the RSG packet, and there is so much vocabulary incorporated even just in that first page. I want to take some time to look at some of the vocabulary just to review. We did define these in class, but I want to make sure that especially if you're seeking help on this homework, that we have a good foundation for moving forward. The instructions here say, given that f of n equals 5n minus 9 and g of n equals the opposite of n plus 7, evaluate the function with the indicated values. Very important vocabulary word here is this word evaluate. And evaluate in technical terms means to substitute and simplify. And in our math terms, we have used in class very often the term plug and chug. So when you are given a number that goes into the function, you plug it in, you evaluate, you simplify it, and you find a result, what the output of the function will be. So that is what our goal is, essentially, is to evaluate these functions. Now another interesting and unique piece that is going on here is that we have two different functions. We have f of n equals 5n minus 9, and we also have g of n equals the opposite of n plus 7. Now, f of n, this does not mean f times n. What this means is the function of n. So when n is given a value and goes into the function or into the equation, that is what it is saying. It is saying, given any value of n, you can put that value into the equation, and it is your job then to determine the result. Okay? Over here, it is also very common to see g of n, g used instead of f in a function. So we have g of n equals the opposite of n plus 7, and in a minute we're going to talk about that opposite, why we use the word opposite instead of the word negative. Okay, so let's actually get started here evaluating this particular function. We have f of 4 is our given input. So that means that n, we're being told, is 4. Okay, so anywhere you see that n up here in the equation, in this equation or this function, we have to substitute for 4. So let's go ahead and do that substitution. We get 5 times 4 minus 9. Okay, so we've done the substitution. So we're being told if 4 goes into the machine or into the function, find the output. Okay, so on our next line down, we're going to rewrite this. F of 4 equals, and 5 times 4 is 20 minus 9, showing all of our order of operation steps. And then, of course, over here, f of 4 equals, and 20 minus 9 is 11. So we know that if 4 goes into this function, into the machine, we've talked about it in class, then the output or the resulting value will be 11. Okay, so the f of 4 is 11. We can actually read it that way out loud. Okay, and this actually sort of works like a coordinate pair. We are using n in this case and f of n, but we could look at this, the 4 as the x piece of a coordinate point and the 11 as the y piece of a coordinate point. We could actually put this on a graph if we chose to. Okay, so just kind of an extra little tidbit of information. So now, because in this particular problem over here, we're being given the g of 4, we know that we have to come to this function over here for guidance on how to handle that input. So 4 is no longer going into this function over here because it's not f, it's going into this function over here. It's just a way for us to distinguish between different functions. Okay, so let's go ahead and take the time to substitute here. So 4 goes into the function, so we end up with the opposite of 4 plus 7. Okay, and I use the word opposite because, and this does then now turn this into a negative 4, but the word the opposite, if our input value, this 4, happened to be negative, we would have to view that as the opposite of negative 4. Okay, so you have to be very careful how we handle those negatives. Okay, so let's g of 4 equals, and negative 4 plus 7 gives us a positive 3. So if 4 goes into this function over here, we end up with an output value of 3. And this is what you will have to do on that first section of your homework.